So the first slide is showing the 7 elements of art, in which line, shape, form, space, texture, value, and color. These elements come together make elements of art. The elements of art are basically for to apprehend or to understand art in a better way, and that's why these very basic elements are jotted down and gathered down to give us a start with art. So when you're going to refer your work, when you're going to use it in your work, that time these elements are universal, whether it be fine art, architecture, engineering, anything. These elements are applicable to all fields. So let's start with the basic field, the basic element, that is line. So line, what is line? A line is points placed in a series in one direction from a line. Moving points traces a line, and by closing on it creates a shape. So line has got various types. So let's have a look at this. So these are the different types of lines expressing different types of emotions. Or once you when you have a look at such type of work, that time, like, for example, in which the vertical lines are there, horizontal lines are there, or zigzag lines are there, you feel you are aroused with some emotions due to the impact of the lines. So let's go through the things. So the lines which are vertical, they are, generally what impression they create on us is they are very stable, and they have the strength of, they have the strength of expression. They give very strong feelings to us. Therefore, these vertical lines are called as strong lines, whereas the horizontal lines are, or the parallel lines, they move from left to right, so they are very calm and peaceful. That is why when we see water, ocean, how we feel is, we feel peaceful. And whereas the vertical lines, for example, if we see a form of, a picture in which there are trees, so we have the feeling of steadiness or rootedness or strength. Now the diagonal lines are slanting lines, and they are not like vertical or horizontal, and they suggest action. So they are, they give a feeling of motion in anything. Like, that's why when we see slanting lines, the artwork or the picture, or it can be a construction, anything which has got slanting lines, or the direction in which our vision moves in a slanting line manner, then it gives us a feeling of movement. The zigzag lines are, the lines which go up, down, and create a pattern. So these are again the action evoking lines, whereas the curved lines are, very subtle, and then there is variety in curve lines, like, simple curve lines, spiral. So the spiral one is like, the simple curve line is a very comfortable way of doing things. That's why we generally do, when we do flower patterns, we find the comfort in it. Whereas in the spiral, we are more into converging to a type of thought, or, that is why when we see some artwork in which there is, shown a picture of meditation, in which there is a spiral expression, you generally go to a meditative stage. The next part in our slide is the shape. So each shape has its own meaning and influence the human mind and reactions differently. So what it is saying is, whenever we see any shape in a picture, for example, if it's a composition of basic elements, then in that you have used a triangle, a square, circle, or some flowers or some other natural elements like leaf, or a decorative element of spade. So what happens is, it creates various different kinds of expressions. When a viewer views at it, um, some meanings, come out, like, are come to the surface. And these are, though they may vary from person to person, generally this the basic shapes have a very, what we can call it, a very limited or a very strict meaning to it, whereas the other abstract shapes have, they vary from shape to shape. So you can just go through the triangle is having the power, religion, law, leader, focus, ambition, these feelings, whereas the square has got a very stable look, and it's very very grounded, you can call it. Then here we have lines too. The circle is always evoking very positive feeling. That's why you can see in the famous artist called Raza, in his paintings you can see many circles, and concentric circles, which create a very calm feeling. So again, the spiral element approaches over here, but then the concentric circles are still more meditative. Yeah, and then there are some other elements like organic shapes, where uh, where you are free to do some handwork, in which the shapes are not restricted, or they are not that basic. Okay, so we have gone through the shape, like, shape and lines. So I hope you are clear with this. Is there any doubt regarding the lines and the shape? If there is, so you can just talk to me anytime in between. Yeah. Okay, so let's go next to color. So color makes a drawing beautiful. It is very important to know the color theory. We'll be doing it tomorrow. Today we are restricting it to a very precise explanation, that color can create liveliness in painting. A painter can create dimensions and realistic effect with the help of colors. So I will just, in short, explain you the different applications of color. Then tomorrow we'll be learning the basic colors, primary colors, secondary colors, and then we'll be doing, we'll see how it goes. We'll be learning new combinations and further in detail about the color chapter. So here I wanted to mention is the various applications of colors which evoke various feelings to us. So in plain wash, whether if the paint is plain, it gives us a fluid application. To give a fluid application of paint, it gives us a very calm feeling, whether it be a plain green color or a plain yellow color. All right. Then there is gradation. Like you can see in this element, in this area, there is a gradation of red to yellow. Yeah, or you can even see it here, where the color changes gradually. So either in tone or in color. Then there is over painting, like in the first area, in the first grid, like in the first square, we can see there are patterns done, and then the colors are painted over each other. So that is a different way of application. Then there are interrupted color applications, where where you can see this. Or you can call it the fifth one. The first one is the plain wash, the second is gradation, third is overpainting, fourth is interrupted color application, and fifth is complex or multiplied color application, or means there are many colors together to form an artwork. So these are the basic different types of color application works. Yeah, let's go ahead. Now here comes tonal value. So value is the thing what I would like to talk about first. What is value? It is the various gradations of light and dark are and in either in black and white or in color. So that is called as value, and generally it is also called as tonal value. So what happens is the tone denotes the degree of value, like how light the color is or how dark it is. Okay, so the between intervening gray tones, like from exactly not the first and the last, but the rest of the middle shades are called as the middle tones. So tones play a very important role in creating three dimension. Like here you can see the sphere, cone, cube, treated it three dimensionally using various middle tones. Yeah, and finally I would like to this is the way it is, like represented in when we are doing an object, when we are treating an object. So we can see the direct light, the light source. Then generally when we see an object, why do we see it? Because there is a light source of light. And because of source of light, the things are visible to us. Imagine if we close our eyes, or if there is no sun, then there will be no, we can't see anything. So the source of light is a very important thing, because it makes us see, or it enhances us to see so many things around us. So generally the light source, the first area where the direct light falls on an object is called as the light area. The medium area where the dimension changes, therefore we see it a little darker, is called medium, and the darkest portion is called the dark area. So here we can see that the shadow is also casted due to the presence of light. Because there is light and the object is there, therefore the shadow is casted. And we also have reflected light if at all an object is spherical in shape or cylindrical in shape. Only then we can see the reflected light, because the surface continues behind, and therefore the light, when falls on other objects and bounces back to the object on the cylindrical or spherical object, then we can see the reflected light. Now the highlight portion is the area where if in case the surface is very what we can say very glossy or metallic, where the light bounces back sharply, and in that portion the object shines as white as the light. So that portion is called as highlight. And lastly, the texture. So whatever we have, like other than this, like we studied line, we did shape, and then we did color, tonal value, and the texture is the one of the visual surfaces which creates again an impression in us, and it's one of the principal element of art. So how it is different than others, it has got a different surface, like it's not plain, or it's not simple as line, or it has got a tactile surface. So what is tactile surface? Tactile in the sense moving, an illusion which our vision creates or has, or that object creates in us, is called as texture. So texture is created with the help of various mediums, or like oil paint, acrylic, poster color. Even in pencil, as we can see, the dog is rendered. It's the feel of illusion of hair on dog's body. Or then it's also the way it is applied, like we can see in the bottom part, the impasto, where the color is loaded, and generally it's done with oil paints. Or we can even see in the three-dimensional object like the earthenware, where it is having roundity as well as some work created on it. So these are different types of textures which create different feelings